Hey, popping like I'm supposed to. Watch out for the people that ain't close to. Speak a little something you could toast to. I ain't tryna hear about what you won't do. Moving like I'm into. Hit the ground running like the rain do. Speak a little something that you're into. I ain't tryna hear about what you've been through.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Aurora Mercury. If this is your first time here, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share. In today's video, I'll be helping my real life partner create a Second Life avatar.
Hey guys, I'm excited, can't wait. It's quite a big platform, isn't it?
Yeah, there's like 67.7 million users on Second Life, so wow. Yeah, quite a big platform.
I'm looking forward to building my avatar. Yeah, that's going to be cool.
It will be very cool. I'm bringing you over to the metaverse now.
Alright, let's do this.
Let's go. Okay, so let's just jump right into it. So, okay. Babe, yeah, you need to create your account.
All right, let's do this.
So just type in secondlife.com. Just type in Second Life.
Okay. And straight to sign up?
Yep,
I'm excited about this. I can't actually wait to make my avatar.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm looking forward to this. So what do you think of this name I've chosen?
I like it, you know. I like it, yeah. I think it can work. It can work.
But what I want to ask you is, red pill or blue pill?
Oh.
Ooh. Think about it.
Yeah, I'll get back to you on that
one. Okay, showing my age now.
It's alright, babe. I'm gonna blur this out.
Can people hide their ages or?
Yeah, so like
can you when you meet someone, does it say their real age? Or?
No. If anything, all it shows on your profile is like how old your avatar is. So like today, creating your avatar, it will be 1 day old or 0 days old. And then as each day goes on, it starts to add up, and like as the days go on. So you will see some people in here that have like 14-year-old avatars or more.
But they'll be like in real life grown people.
Like they'll be grown people. Right. Like obviously you don't know what age they are in real life.
It's a cool way to relive your youth.
Yeah, it is. You know? It is.
Okay, cool.
So
this is a place where you can come and be anybody, but can you be anything? If I wanted to be a bird, could I be a bird on it?
Yes, you can be a bird.
I can be a bird.
You can be a bird.
All right. There's not much choice.
Yeah.
There's a few new characters, so I have to edit these, yeah?
Well, not yet, but this is like the starting avatar. So this is what your avatar looks like at the beginning, and then we will build up on it.
Okay.
Yeah, and create you into some hot
change
team.
It and steady. Relax. I'm not a robot.
You missed one, innit? Isn't that one? Oh, okay.
And that's it.
Yep.
Create my account.
Yep.
Awesome.
Okay, right, but now we're just going to do the basic.
So, choosing the basic account. So what do I get? Thousands of 3D environments created by residents like you. Hundreds of events and gatherings happening daily. Choose your unique look with a fully customizable avatar. Do I get superpowers and stuff?
You can fly.
I can fly?
You can fly, baby. And you can teleport.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so now you need to type in your username.
Okay.
Log in.
So is this a bit like Sims?
Yeah, it's a bit like Sims, but the difference with this is that even although I have heard that Sims is going to be upgrading theirs, but is that you can interact with people. So it's like a social social platform as well. Because again, like there's so many users across the world, and you can interact with people, you can work with people. Yeah, I've met some really interesting people, and especially throughout the whole COVID, like we was all on it together. So I didn't, although I wasn't active in real life, but I wasn't by myself because I still had my gamer friends as well.
That's pretty cool. You still got a network of people you can interact with on a daily. It must have popped off during COVID.
It popped off because you woke up, game. When it's like, and you could be up all day, all night.
Yeah.
So in order to play this, what you need to do is you need to follow these so you can learn how to like navigate around. So so you use the arrows of the key.
So no controller, this is straight keyboard.
Yeah, this is PC gaming.
Fashion.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Let's page up. It's telling you to page up. Usually I press enter. Alright, so it's saying hold up. Okay. That wasn't really like a jump. Yeah. Okay, and then here you got to fly.
Okay, I'm looking forward to this. What do I do?
Alright, so
tell me, man. Come on, man.
So you press. Oh look, wait. So yeah, in order to fly, you need to press F. So you press the letter F to fly.
Okay, cool.
Oops.
Oh, that's like a big jump.
Yeah, kind of thing.
Oh, wow! I just went through that whole thing. You can just phase through things.
Yeah. Well, actually, no, that's not true. Not everything. So sometimes things are transparent, and look, see this you cannot go through.
Okay. It kind of merges in a bit. Oh, this is cool. So this is how you visit other islands?
Not all the time, but you can visit some like this as well.
This is cool.
Okay.
How long can you fly for?
As long as you want. There's no limit. There's certain places though that doesn't allow you to fly, and you have to kind of walk around.
Okay.
Right, so now this is going to teach you how to sit. So you can right click that trunk, it's saying.
Okay.
And then select sit here. And then look, see avatars.
Move around, check out the view. Contemplate life.
Contemplate about life, baby.
In nature. It's a good place to sit. I like this place.
So yeah,
a lot of these things here going
so
around.
look, pose balls are commonly used to pose avatars. Sit on one of the balls and you can see how they work. So sit on one of the, oh no, so can you see where it says sit over there? Yeah, sit on one.
Okay. That's chilling.
He's chilling. Try and sit on that one. I think you might have to stand. Oh no, you can do that. See, look, he's chilling. I don't think you can sit on those. I know you can. Go on. Watch him.
My man is skanking.
Big up yourself.
Yes, see you pass up the place. Squad.
Watch him. Okay, you got
to read all of these signs.
Well, yeah, because I think they give you some linden, so they give you some monies. So the currency in Second Life is lindens, and you use lindens to pay for things.
So lindens are like pounds, right?
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
So, and you use lindens to pay for things. So everything will be cost in lindens. Etiquette. To make settling into Second Life a little easier, we have a few etiquette tips. Please use these as a guide to making your Second Life as fun, friendly, and hassle-free as possible. Oh, I did a video on etiquettes of Second Life. I should have actually used these.
Okay, so this is just telling you how to behave.
Yeah.
When you're on. Okay.
Yeah, making friends is fun, but don't request friendship from someone you haven't spoken to. You'll stand a better chance of people being nice and friendly to you if you do your best not to cause offense. Be aware there are people from many cultures here, which is very true.
It was how many? 70 something billion?
67 point something million, yeah.
Yeah. I wonder how many countries that. I wonder what the largest country. Which country has the largest population of Secondlifers?
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Can I say Secondlifers? Is that a thing?
Secondlifers, yeah, or Secondlife residents, yeah, Secondlifers, yeah.
Is that a thing?
I don't know if it's a thing. I never heard it. I think I've heard it, but I don't know.
Until someone corrects you about me.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. So they're saying sometimes it takes a short while for everything to res when you log in or teleport to a new sim. Stand still for a little while until you think everything is resed, or you'll risk bumping into other avatars you can't see yet. So basically, when you land into different parts of the grid, sometimes people are around you and they haven't loaded yet.
Right.
So another word of loaded is what we use is called res. So when things are loading, we call it resin. Or I've just loaded something into the platform. I've read something. Right. I've resed something into the platform.
I've got it.
Secondlife gives you some options of where you can actually TP to. So remember, he was asking me, where can you go from here? Can you TP to other places? When you go to destination, these shows you like different kind of places you can actually go to.
Right, and TP means teleport, right?
Yeah, teleport, cool. Which is what we need to introduce to the real life.
Yeah, I know. I wish I could teleport.
I know, right?
Finally, so quickly.
That's what I'm saying.
On the beach with mojito,
That's what I'm saying. Alright, yeah, so you can go to loads of different places. And like you can see what people's created, which is quite cool.
Okay.
So yeah, we can do that at some point.
So people have designed those places.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's pretty creative stuff.
So as you can see, you can hear like the atmosphere as well, right? The ambience.
Yeah. I can hear birds tweeting.
Yeah.
So they've put a lot of thought into this.
Right, so this teaches you how to buy as well. How to buy is sometimes what you can do, you can hover over an object that's in a store, for example, and then that little symbol will show up, and that means you can buy it, or you can right click an item. Obviously this is just the land, but you can right click an item, and if it's for sale, and then you have the option to pay for it.
Right, okay. So how do I get the money, man? Talk to me.
So
how do I get to the bag, man?
So you can pay for currency. So
directly from my bank account, I can
from your real life money,
and then exchange that into lindens.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
And then your balance will be shown here.
Right.
Or there is jobs in.
I can get a job here.
You can get a job, babe.
What kind of? Can I be a surgeon? What can I do?
Anything.
I want to get the real money, man. Footballer, basketballer.
Anything, babe. Anything you want, you can make it into like a business and make money from it.
Yeah?
Yes.
All right, let's do this.
If you wanted to buy that, see, look, if you hover over that.
Yeah.
Hover over that image. So these are things you can buy.
Okay, so that's 0 and...
Yeah, so that's free.
Okay, it's not really my style, but yeah.
Yeah.
So I just click on it,
and then
I can just choose to buy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can buy that if you want, just so you can see what happens.
I saw another one over here on the left, which is maybe my style. If we go over to it, maybe something like this.
Okay.
So this is 0 lindens?
Yep, so that's free. Yep.
Okay, let's buy that. Okay, so a little box has just popped up.
So just press OK.
So how do I wear the stuff that I've just bought?
So if you right click, like to say the hat, right click that one, which says the male hat, right click it. This one. Yep. Right click. And then do add. Let's see if it will add it onto him. I think it's because of the oh no, it is. Okay.
So it just takes a little minute to render, and then boom.
Yeah. Then you've got your hat, but as you can see, your hair's kind of poking out a bit.
That looks quite cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are different beaches that you can actually check out that people's created, and you can go and explore.
France, pittoresque.
Do you want to check out that one?
Yeah, let's check out this one.
Right, so select teleport on that.
Okay.
And then teleport.
Boom, bam. Something's happening.
You are teleporting right now, babe.
Okay.
It's a whole new world, babe.
Alright.
Press X.
Okay, let's close this down. Oh wow, I am in a new place.
So now everything is resin, everything is loading.
So just stand still, remember that.
Yeah, we'll just it's not necessarily stand still, but you just give it a minute for everything to kind of load. So you are in this beach kind of place that's being created, and it's open to the public as well. So some people create lands and it's open to the public, and some are private. And look, you can choose man. You can change the different positions. You're on one already.
Okay. Alright. Okay, yes. Now we're getting a bit more chilled. This is cool. So someone built this from scratch.
Yeah. Like even like the feel and the look and the ambience of it. So what I mean as well, like looking at the wind lights and the clouds, all of that is customizable as well. Like every little thing on this is like they would have started with a blank canvas and built onto it as well. Yeah. Even like, you know, the floor surfaces as well, the texture, everything. Sand. Yeah.
So you have complete control. Oh, they got the big heads. You got complete control over everything.
Yeah. I think let's check out another place.
Okay.
So go to world again at the top.
Right.
And destinations. Let's check out somewhere else.
Okay. This one looks cool. We check this one out.
Yep. It's a natural forest, so yeah, this will be cool. But yeah, I think it's good to just take your time, look around.
Yeah.
And like get an idea as to what's on the platform, what people are like. Exit that as well.
Oh wow, this is like a dense forest.
It looks cool though, isn't it?
Very.
This is touching into my earthy sign.
Wow, this is cool. Whoever made this did a good job.
Yeah. So I guess the dangerous things about Second Life is you can land somewhere like here and be exploring, and then before you know it, an hour's passed of your day. So like, yeah, you need to kind of set good guidelines or cut off times of when it's like, okay, it's time to log off now. Because it's very easy to get lost in this.
I can see that.
Whether you're creating stuff as well, it's quite easy to get lost in things as well. Okay, right, let's look for something a bit more fun. So let's see what else they've got here. Destinations. Go back to categories for me, please. Okay, games and rides. Check out that one. And I don't know if you saw that as well. They had sports as well, because you were asking me if they do UFC in here as well, right? Which they do. So it'd be quite cool to check that out as well. But these are different kind of games that you could do. Because we had Halloween not too long ago, so there's still some, I guess, Sims out there that's Halloween.
Okay. Should we try this one?
Yep, press teleport.
So, you know, with other games you can like have like your friends on here as well, and then it shows how many of your friends you have. So can you see how many friends you add up? Is it, or when they're online?
Yes.
I think you spoke about that at the start.
Yeah. So when your friends list starts to increase, in fact, you can search for me. Go to people.
So can you search for people?
Yes, you can. I'm just trying to work out. Okay, yeah, look, search there. Okay. So if you type in my name.
Okay.
So Aurora Mercury.
Like that.
And then do search.
Okay. Looks like you came up top of the list.
Yes.
Is that you?
As I should.
Okay. See the info. The next one we're gonna do, you're gonna show me how to really build an avatar from scratch.
Yes.
So we're gonna change everything about Morpheus Lives.
Yeah, and make him into hot stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, this is what Morpheus looks like now, but he won't look like that forever.
Okay. Well, this has been fun. I've enjoyed this. We've been around a couple of worlds.
Yeah.
I went on to the tutorial island. What's that one called?
Yeah, I think that's like the Second Life orientation island or something like that.
Yeah. I learnt the rules. No getting naked.
Yes.
No biting people.
Yeah.
I've learnt how to collect objects. I've learnt about my inventory. How to communicate with other people. The shiesty type of people to look out for.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm looking forward to building things within Second Life. I think I'll need a few more tutorials from yourself, and I'm sure there's loads of YouTube channels that offer some of this, but you've got a pretty good starting place as well.
Yeah.
So I'll be checking out some of your content on Aurora Mercury.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is cool. I'm really looking forward to redesigning Morpheus Lives, and yeah, getting some pectorials in, some abs. He's gonna look fly, man.
He's gonna look fly. But yeah, guys, so this is how you create an avatar. So I created it with Morpheus Lives, my real life partner. And yeah, so now you are in Second Life. You have a Second Life avatar, babe. Welcome.
I'm part of the Second Life world.
Yes, you are.
Crazy. Well, hi guys, feel free to shout me out, say hello. And yeah, I look forward to meeting you guys and exploring more worlds out there, because what I've seen so far is pretty awesome.
So yeah, guys, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and comment down below. If you enjoyed having my real life partner with me on these explorations as well, and just teaching them about Second Life, make sure you comment down as well. But until next time, guys, take care. Bye.